in this video we're going to talk about inspiration and my advice to aspiring writers. I've written 2 books, and I can tell you that inspiration basically does not exist. It is a fallacy, it's not real. Every new writer pegs the question, where do I get the inspiration from? Where do I get the determination to keep on writing? What's the reason? What's the motivation? You know, where do I find my muse? And it's simple. That is all baloney. And I'm going to tell you why. Because if you are a writer and you want to write a story, you already have all those characters in that story in you. Okay, you don't need an inspiration. You already know the story. You just have to put the puzzle in a correct alignment on paper, and that's how you make a book, right? Inspiration. This is inspiration. This is how inspiration happens. Something clicks. You feel like you have the core of a story, whatever it might be, right? And then you have the desire to put it down on paper. And that is your inspiration. That is your motivation. That's it. That is where inspiration ceases to be, right? You will not get any more inspiration. Because inspiration to me is, I have this crazy idea, there will be these characters, this will be the main conflict, boom, that's it, that's your inspiration. You have to figure everything else out by yourself. That is where inspiration stops. But I can give you this piece of advice because we as writers procrastinate and struggle simply because it's not because we don't have inspiration or that we don't have any muse. It's because the piece that we're writing does not excite us. Ergo, what we're writing is a bit boring to us, and that is why we're not that eager to continue. That is procrastination. That is writer's block. It's not because of inspiration, right? And this we all struggle with this. I struggle with it all the time. It's not a big deal. It's not about inspiration, and it is about the fact that your writing isn't fun, isn't exciting, and you're not having fun writing it. And that's a problem. I advise you to stop what you're doing, take a break, and really think about what you're doing. Because if your own story, while you're writing it, does not excite you in any way, then when you really finish it, then even your reader will not find it exciting, and it won't grab the attention of your readers, right? Because as a writer, I immediately can spot when I'm reading a book that the writer wasn't fully invested. Sometimes writers take shortcuts. They write bland descriptions. We have chapters that are lackluster, and so on. Repetitions, what have you. That is because the writer was not fully invested in his own writing because his writing was boring to him or her. That's what happens. This is not about inspiration. That is why writer's block happens. It is because while you're writing it, what you're putting down is not interesting to you. If you're not having fun while writing, uh, that is, that is torture. That is torture. And you should really fix it any way you can because otherwise you're going to create a mediocre work. And even the geniuses, the great writers, have struggled with this since the beginning, okay? It's not just you or, right? I've struggled with it as well. Every aspiring writer, especially without experience, especially if you're writing your first book, I think that is where writer's block really happens. And then, you know, young writers use this excuse that they don't have inspiration, or they don't have any ideas, no muse, and they don't know where to get their ideas from, right? Which is an excuse, unfortunately. It is an excuse. But an option is is that you keep on writing. You have the main frame of your story on paper, right? And if you have your main story on paper, even though some parts are bland, now you understand what's going on here in its entirety. If you understand how it begins, what the middle is like, and how it ends, then you have a better understanding of what you're going for. Then you can go back and then you can refine and improve the parts that are lackluster. This is the advice that I'm offering you because I've done this, and it is unavoidable, right? It is unavoidable that you will struggle. If what you're writing doesn't make you feel, like you're on drugs, then you need to take another different course of action. You need to change things up a bit, right? And this is what happens when you change things up. If you go in a different direction, then things will start to make sense. Things will pop off. The characters will pop off from the page, and you will be invested. If you are invested, then your writing will improve by itself, right? If you're having fun, if you're excited, if you're invested, boom, you'll write double the amount of pages. You will write, you know, instead of 1,000 words, you will write 5,000 words, and so on, because you will be invested. You will be having fun with it, and that makes all the difference in the world. So that's about it. If you're a young writer, struggling, aspiring, but you just don't have an inclination to continue writing because your excuse is, I don't have any ideas, I don't have any inspiration, then that is the signal that you should approach your story in a different way, from a different angle. Listening to music will certainly help you with this. It will give you the jolt to polish what you're writing currently, right? To me, without music, I couldn't write at all. Not even a single page, because music is that factor that keeps me going, right? And maybe it will help you as well. After completing 2 books, this is what I've realized, that all of those moments in the past when I couldn't bring myself to sit down and write, when I didn't have any motivation, it was because I wasn't interested, I was bored, and after changing the beat, changing the rhythm, everything improved significantly. This is the secret about inspiration, that after you have the will to write a story, that is where inspiration kicks in. And after you have your story in your head with the characters and the main beats of the plot, that is it. That is the inspiration. You cannot wait for inspiration afterwards. You have to sit down and you have to write it, and you have to write it well. And you have to have fun with it, right? This is how I would put it with this example. When you're not writing, when you're doing something else, if your story keeps bothering you in the back of your head, if you are obsessed with it, if you cannot wait to finish what you're doing so you can go back to write, if you cannot sleep because you want to write, if you cannot do anything else because your story and your characters haunt you relentlessly, then you have what it takes, right? That is the sign that you're having fun with it, that you're excited, that you are inspired, that you are invested, and you cannot wait to go to your desk and write. So that is the sign that you're writing a good story. If you're excited, if you cannot wait, if you cannot sleep, if you are obsessed with this book, and if you have fun while writing it, then you have succeeded and you will finish your book and it will be great. Okay? So stop worrying about not having inspiration and the lack of interest and no energy or what have you. Right? Think it through, listen to some music, and put those words down on paper. And you will do the work and you will finish it. Right? And you will be pleased with it and you will have a masterpiece. That's all that it is, okay? So that's it. See ya.